a.m. on the dot. So let's start and kick off our ICW Singapore 2020. Thank you for joining us. It's wonderful to see so many of you. My name is Lynn Tan and I'm your session host. I'm really excited about this morning's ICW Singapore 2020 kickoff keynote with none other than the chair of the 2020 ICF Professional Coaches Global Board, Sara Smith. Before we start, there are some ground rules to ensure a smooth and successful session. Throughout the webinar, please put your microphone on mute. All attendees will be made on mute by default except for open floor segments. If you have a question or would like to share something, type it in chat on the right. You can access your chat box by going to the menu bar at the bottom and selecting chat. There will be a Q&A segment at some point in the session for Sara to take your questions. You will receive continual coach education units, also known as CCEUs, by attending this full webinar. At the end of the webinar, you will receive a link to apply for your CCEU certificate, so please stay until then. So this bit is important, and in order to receive your CCEU certificate from this session, you need to attend this live webinar in full. There will be no issuance of partial CCEUs. And at the end of the webinar, you will be given a QR code and a link that will lead you to an online form which collects your certificate details as well as this webinar's feedback. Please make sure your full name and email address is provided in order for us to issue you your cert. We will not be able to issue you the cert if you don't go through the link. Application for CCEU will close 24 hours after this webinar. Thereafter, you will receive your certification by June 2020. As you know, this week's virtual conference is chock-a-block with an amazing lineup of sessions, topics, and speakers. And helping us make it possible are our ICW SG 2020 sponsors. Please join me in thanking all of our conference sponsors. I'm going to kick off with our platinum sponsor, Emergenetics, because they have something really exciting for you. Emergenetics helps people and organizations to improve communication, collaboration, and culture, resulting in positive and productive workplaces. And this is the part that you'll like. Emergenetics is going to give out to all attendees a gift package worth $350 consisting of an Emergenetics profile and access to online resources and a special webinar. You will receive an email next week with a gift pack sign up details. Isn't that fantastic? So please look out for the email that will come to you next week. We are blessed to be supported by many esteemed sponsors this year. A big thanks to Gallup, who has always been a wonderful partner to work with over several ICWs already. And right after Sara's keynote session today is Gallup's Enriching Workshop session, which you can still sign up for if you haven't already. We will give you that link at the end of this morning's webinar. Our other gold sponsor is the coaching app, which puts a C-suite executive coach in your pocket. How fascinating. So you can go to www.thecoachingapp.com to check that out and register yourself for the launch of that. Thanks also to our silver sponsors. We have the Coaching Partnership, who has brought the new field suite of coach training programs to Asia since 2010, as well as Starting Point and the authorized provider of everything DIS certification and solutions, 5 behaviors of a cohesive team, and building trust solutions. And last but not least, we have our school sponsors, and this refers specifically to ICF approved coach training providers. Thank you to the Academy of Solution Focused Training, Collective Change Institute, Go Master Coach, and Martin Consulting and Coaching Solutions. There's so much support for ICW SG 2020 this year. Apart from our 9 sponsors, we have 35 speakers from all over the world coming together to collaborate with you to forward really important topics like mindfulness, resilience, coaching cultures, coaching competencies, and some of the best coaching business practices. And all this is coming together in recognition for the work that you all are doing. If anything, COVID-19 has shown the world the important role that coaches play. So thank you for joining us in these conversations that will unfold the future of coaching, yours and the professions. I'm so excited to announce to you that we have to date close to 200 conference participants for this week, with 1,900 seats filled across all the 16 sessions. And that's more than 100 attendees per session. This is a huge milestone for the ICF Singapore chapter and a testament to the growing coaching community, and that coaching is an integral part of a thriving society. Joining us in this conference are fellow coaches and ICF members, coaching practitioners in various capacities and backgrounds, including HR, L&D, and other corporate business functions, as well as practitioners from other support professions, and of course, those just starting out exploring what coaching is. So as you can see, this conference will be a beautiful and very important confluence of change conversations and change catalysts called to come together in a situation that is challenging us all to redefine our future. We are at an important crossroad. I want to share with you a wonderful Japanese saying that I love, and it's called Ichigo Ichii, which literally means one time, one meeting, or once in a lifetime encounter. So I'm really glad that you've decided to join us in this magical week. And there's no one better than Sara to join us all the way from Texas, USA in kicking off ICW SG 2020. So let me introduce Sara Smith. Sara is an MCC and a CPCC. She has been a member of the ICF since 2001 and started off as a volunteer in the ICF North Texas chapter in 2006. She was elected to the ICF Global Board of Directors in 2017 and now serves as chair of the new ICF Professional Coaches Global Board as part of the International Coaching Federation. She has been an adjunct professor with the SMU Cox School of Business MBA program, teaching Leader as Coach, and she is an author of a book called Coach to Coach, Emotional Intelligence and Leadership for Winning Coaches. So Sara has an exciting topic to start ICW off with. Her topic is Our ICW, Who Do We Want to Become? She will first share about where the ICF is in reorganization to become the International Coaching Federation, including some examples of how the new organization is already serving ICF members, after which we will switch focus to the ICF Professional Coaches Strategy and how the global part of the organization is striving to work in partnership with chapters to help our members and coaches, you guys, grow and be successful. There will be an opportunity to take the conversation into breakout rooms to brainstorm ways that coaches can be proactive in this time of dramatic changes. And then we will we'll finish the session together with you sharing your ideas and taking some questions. So I'd like you to bring your attention to the bottom, your Zoom menu at the bottom of your Zoom window. You would find a button called Reaction. And if you mouse over it, you'll see this clapping emoticon, as you can see on my screen right now. So I'd like you to get all your virtual claps ready as we give Sara Smith a literally warm, sunny Singapore chapter welcome. Let's see those.
Oh, how wonderful. Thank you. Excellent. Oh, it's so good to be here with you all. And what a program. Oh my gosh, you all have done an amazing job putting together Coaching Week 2020. That is just incredible. And I couldn't be more honored to be with you. We are going to spend some time talking about the International Coaching Federation. Let me share my screen. We're gonna share that one. And now it's even better. And let me see if I can get me out of the way. Oh, let me stop my video. No, that doesn't help, does it? Okay, you guys, sorry. I'm a technology troglodyte. That means really old. Mostly what I want to do is to share some information with you and then open up for a conversation. Listen, I have to make a confession. I have this great background that says ICW 2020, and where I'm sitting, I keep disappearing. So you know how backgrounds are when you don't have a green screen? It's just the worst. So what you're going to get to see is a chair in my recreation vehicle. I'm actually in New Mexico in the United States. Let's go to work. We're going to talk about the ICF, and this is really to become personal. Who do we want to become is a very important question. Okay, now, there we go. I joined the ICF in 2001 because I was a corporate coach with IBM, and it was important to be a part of a professional organization. And that's what the ICF offered. It is that, and still is, our vision as a full organization is that coaching is an integral part of a thriving world because coaching changes lives. And when I hear what you all are doing over the next week, I know that you are an active part of that in your part of the world. So here's the background. We were the ICF now for 25 years. In fact, where did my 25 years? Oh, I blew right past it. Sorry. It's time to stop and celebrate the fact that we have been the organization that supports and represents credentialed coaching, integrity, training, and ethics for the last 25 years. A significant milestone for us as an organization, and that because of our vision, and because of that, 3 years ago, we began to actively design moving from the International Coach Federation to becoming the International Coaching Federation. That 3 letters in English means that we go from just focusing on members and member success to add on focusing on the whole world of coaching. And I'm going to show you how that's going to happen. By the way, we're not losing our focus on members at all. So we are becoming, and this is the organization that you're a member of, an organization for coaches and for coaching, so that we can be more powerful in the world in which we work. So I wanted to show you a picture of who we have become. We've moved from just professional coaches and the ICF Foundation to, in fact, 6 organizations, from thought leadership to coaching in organizations. Let me give you a little insight into how and why that occurred. Let's begin with credential and standards. We separated coach training from credentialing because if you look at that second bullet, the International Standards Organization requires that for ICO accreditation. And we're looking to become the first coaching organization that meets ISO standards. It's an important place for us to be as an organization of professional coaches. It's something that our organizational clients care about. We'll get into that in a little bit, but here's the bottom line. We have separated those into separate organizations with separate vice presidents in charge of them. So what happens is that they're able to work in parallel. We move forward more quickly. The next group that we're going to talk about is coaching in organizations. This is one of the most exciting parts of the new organization. Coaching in organizations, and by the way, they have gotten off to a fast start. It is just that. It is to align ICF with organizations in my neighborhood like IBM and Raytheon, the federal government of the United States, all major organizations. We are targeting them to be members of the coaching in organizations part of ICF so that we expand the impact of the ICF, we open opportunities for our members to have work, and we begin to bring in standards and credentialing for managers and leaders using coaching skills. Now, I used to teach a course at Southern Methodist University, SMU, called Leader as Coach. That was a great name for a course. We've changed that approach. We don't talk about managers being coaches anymore. We talk about them being managers and leaders using coaching skills. The difference is they're managers, we're coaches. So we made that clear distinction that managers and leaders using coaching skills may not be fully trained credentialed coaches, but they still have a significant place in this world of coaching that we're creating. That's why we created coaching in organizations. Again, a professional coach has been hired to be the vice president of coaching in organizations, and there is a worldwide board of senior executives and retired executives from corporations that you would recognize, like Galderma and Microsoft and others, who are putting together that organization as an integral part of the new ICF. Then we move to thought leadership. This is a brilliant part of the new organization. We want to influence the development of coaching from an academic and research perspective. We want to influence what coaching becomes, and we want to open up the possibilities of universities around the world aligning with the ICF and ICF credentialing. So very exciting. And you know the ICF Foundation. They are the part of us that wants to accelerate social impact through coaching. They sponsor Ignite programs all over the world, and in the past 2 years have touched over 5 million people through the efforts of ICF members and ICF chapters. So they are the fifth part. This, by the way, I'm rushing through this because we have a lot to do. I wanted to get through the new organization so that we could get to the work of who do we want to become. So the sixth part of the new ICF that I'll talk about is ICF professional coaches. That's us. When we created this new organization, the International Coaching Federation, our membership organization, the one that you've been used to, was renamed to become the ICF Professional Coaches. So you'll meet my friend Jean-Francois Cousin in a few days. He was chair of the ICF. I follow in his footsteps, but now I'm chair of ICF Professional Coaches. And we have a holistic organization that's made up of the representatives from each of the organizations called ICF Global Enterprise. So we are tightly tied together, both with strategy and through implementation. So that's our new ICF. I took that chart and I broke it apart a little bit. Lots of words to read here, but you all will have access to these charts. I wanted to let you know what some of the value is of this new ICF. When we were coming out of January, we were happily redesigning what the ICF would look like, creating these 4 new entities and 2 of us that had been around, and then all of a sudden we had a pandemic. And that stopped our forward motion, just like it stopped everyone's. And what we did in that first crisis stance was we professional coaches went to the full organization and said, how can you help our members through a very challenging time? So one of the values I talk about in this new organization is our ability to change things in parallel. And what you see here is an example of how that works. ICF Credentials and Standards made 2 critical changes to help members. And one is that they have increased the number of pro bono hours that you can use towards certification and recertification. That allows you to do more of the coaching that you're volunteering to do and have it count towards your credentialing. The other thing, and I'll go into that in a little more detail, is we've introduced digital badging. If you're a certified, a credentialed ICF coach, you have gotten a note, or you will soon, offering digital badging. We'll talk about the value of that and how it works. So Credentials and Standards introduced two things to help us as members since the beginning of the pandemic. ICF coach training has increased the number of asynchronous pre-recorded hours that can be counted as CCEs. Now, that may sound like a small change, but it's in fact huge. For coach training organization, that opens virtual training up to them more broadly, gives them the opportunity to be more successful during this very different time. It also allows us as coaches, as this is implemented, to begin to claim hours from communities of practice and other areas that are pre-recorded. So that's what two of the family organizations did. Our family organizations, professional coaches, have taken a number of steps. We extended the deadline for 2020 membership. We introduced installment payments. We've held a webinar, Staying the Course, how coaches can deal with the COVID-19 time. And Betts is a neurospecialist coach, and William Arruda is a marketing specialist. So a really important webinar for us in what we can do in these times to continue to be successful. By the way, that's been recorded and it's available to any of us. A couple of changes we've made in the last week is that chapter rebates will maintain at least the 2019 levels or greater, depending on what your chapter membership does, so that you don't lose money as a chapter because of the pandemic. Another thing that our staff has done is create a global, virtual Global Leaders Forum, that thing we call GLF. The face-to-face event, which should have been last month, could have only accommodated 2 leaders from each chapter. Our virtual event that happened in April, May, and June, every chapter leader from around the world has been invited to attend, so a much broader audience. The bottom line is that our organization is working more quickly to support us during this pandemic, and we can do it because of the new nature of the organization. So let me begin to zero into ICF professional coaches and what we're up to, because we have a strategy that looked one way in January, and it is more focused in May to serve members more effectively. Among other things, we want to decrease market confusion and increase ICF member success. That's part of the reason why we had the webinar last week that's now available to you. Let me introduce you to the high level of the ICF Professional Coaches 2020 Strategic Plan. This echoes what every family organization is doing. For simple words, lots of activities. Our plan is to develop, connect, influence, and lead. And if you think of this from every family organization's perspective, imagine coaching in organizations. They have a similar large strategic structure, which is develop, connect, influence, and lead, all from their perspective. Let me tell you what it looks like from the professional coach's perspective. This is the plan that is designed to support us as members. First, develop capability boosting to leverage the ecosystem for the professional growth and success of our coaches. So when we talk about professional development, that continuous life learning is coaching, you'll see that reflected in a lot of things. You'll see it reflected in the new competencies. Our ability, our behaviors as coaches include lifelong learning. I'll tell you how how we're going to do that. Now, we begin with a business development series in 2020. Okay, let's see if that'll help. So we have business development for newer coaches. We have ICF Advance for more advanced coaches. That will be virtual. By the way, both of these are virtual. Business Development Build is already underway. And if you want to be a part of it, you've missed some of the sessions, they're on demand. Advance is for more seasoned coaches. It will be virtual and it will be held in the fall. Professional development through communities of practice. If you haven't been to a community of practice recently, they are pretty amazing. We support them more professionally. We ask our leaders of the community of practice to focus on the content, and our staff focuses on how to run it. So it's a great partnership so that our member share of each of the communities of practice bring the best of the best for both learning and conversation among coaches in 10 different areas. The fourth way is coaching continuing education units, the very things that Lynn was talking about. Let me go into develop from a different perspective. That is to have informed and active members. This isn't just training. This is dealing with the research that we do. As coaches, I will tell you that this is some of the most important information that we have available. The work that we do with PwC, with PricewaterhouseCoopers, in fact, we're about to announce new results for the survey that we all participated in the last 9 months. PwC surveys are about what is the state of coaching? How many people are in it? What is general pay range by geography? There's a lot of information that is helpful for us about the evolution of coaching. Know that that's available to us as members in all the detail that's possible. Now, the other area that we do research, I think that's equally important, is that we partner with the Human Capital Institute. That is a huge HR organization. And the thing that we study with them is the effectiveness of coaching in organizations. If you haven't looked at the 2018 results, which are significant, they talk about the impact of coaching culture in organizational change. And they present a compelling story for having coaching in organizations. And at the end, give an outline of how high performance organizations use coaching. Now, coaches, that's a marketing tool for us. By the way, 2 years prior to that, we talked about how coaching works with millennial employees. So these are studies that we partner, ICF partners with the Human Capital Institute, and the results help us to drive business. So I would encourage you to become familiar with those. They're available to every member, and we've put together some pretty good presentations that coaches can give to their organizational clients to help sell coaching. So that's part of our competitive advantage and part of the development that we need to be doing as executive and business coaches. So that's the first, that's developed. That's the first point of the strategy. Now let's move to the second one, community building. You have created that, Lynn and Adrian and the rest of the ICF Singapore team. Notice the community of learning around International Coaching Week. You've got 1,900 enrollees in all of the environments that they've created. It is building community as well as learning. By the way, do you recognize any people in that picture? I suspect you. That was held at the ICF Global Leader Forum last year, when we were still able to get together face to face. So we connect through building community. We also connect through global community. So the previous picture was of your region. We connect through the global leader forum. And as I said, every chapter leader in the world has been invited to this one, which is a wonderful outgrowth from a really terrible circumstance. Wanted to let you know that when we talk about combining that way or connecting that way, we're talking about over 142 chapters in 78 countries. Your leaders will be doing more and more work with their colleagues from around the world as we move forward in the Global Leader Forum. That's part of the connection that we invest in. And finally, we talk about connecting as expanding your network. It's a beautiful thing. Some of my greatest coaching colleagues I've met through the ICF, and we share business across our friendship network. So know that as an ICF coach, especially as you get involved in your chapter, you'll find people who need coaches in their project or who you can send business to if you get a potential client that doesn't fit for you. So here are a couple of the things that we do. ICW is an important part of that. That gives you the opportunity from a connection perspective to connect with organizations and have them begin to understand more effectively and more personally what coaching will do. And the face-to-face event we had, we wanted to mention this, is an event we call Converge. It happens every other year. Last year it was in Prague. Next year it will be somewhere in North America, we think. You know, it's a pandemic. We'll find out what it turns out to be. But what we try to do and what we'll try to do in 2021 is have an event where coaches can get together face to face. Not everybody wants to, but some do very much. So in the spirit of a lot of variety, we will be bringing Converge back, and it is one of the most high quality coaching events in the world. So, third part of our strategy is influence. Influence is one that we share with the other family organizations. The first point is credibility boosting, that we are positioning ICF as the gold standard of coaching. ICF Credentialing and Standards is working to hold that as the standard for as they continue to bring assessors in and credential more and more coaches. ICF Coach Training is focused on making sure that all of us who say that we're training coaching skills, that we are bringing the kind of integrity and quality that we all want as members. So to position ICF as the gold standard puts responsibility on all of us to be the very best we can be and to teach the very best we can teach. So you'll see the PRISM Award, that keeps coaching at the forefront of our clients. And then our credential, ACC, PCC, and MCC, instant recognition and credibility as a trained professional. And those of you who have your credential know that that means adherence to ethics. You will have passed a written exam, the Coaching Knowledge Assessment exam, and you will have gone through an oral examination. Now, here's the thing I love as I talk to audiences all around the world, especially business audiences. I can tell them that when you hire an ICF credentialed coach anywhere in the world, you can know what level of coaches they are by the credential that they have. That is really, really important to companies that are worldwide and hire coaches wherever they are. There is no other organization in the world that can claim that. By the way, as a member, that's what we get. We also get this brand new digital badge. Now, this is huge. It is instant recognition and differentiation from people who call themselves coaches. You know, early on, I said one of the things we're focused on is eliminating market confusion. This badge goes a long way to doing that. We partnered with a company that is into digital badging. You can put your digital badge with the instructions on LinkedIn, on Twitter, on a number of platforms. When you get your introductory letter, it has the details. And when it's on your bio on these areas, if you click on the digital badge, it goes to the Acclaim website, and it tells them who you are, when you were credentialed, what your credential means, and when you will be up for renewal. It can't be borrowed. If you say that if I say I'm an MCC credentialed coach after my credentialing expires and someone clicks on that badge, it goes and says, sorry, she's not credentialed any longer. So it's a wonderful opportunity for us to bring reliable information to our clients through this. And you don't get a digital badge if you don't have an ICF credential. It's a very powerful tool that we've just introduced. The other important part of influence is our ethics and advocacy. It's an important thing that we do as members. It's also becoming more and more important as we work with organizations that we differentiate ourselves. In fact, I'll take just a moment and suggest as one coach to another that when you sell yourself, don't just say I'm a coach. Tell people I'm an ICF coach, because we have the other parts of the ICF family really spreading the word so that organizations know that there is a difference. We're beginning to get some credible organizations that say they will only hire an ICF coach. Some say they will only hire an ICF coach at the PCC level or higher. So know that this investment on the part of all of the members of the family organization is creating that differentiation that we've asked for. So let me go to the last element. I'm checking my watch very subtly. I want to give us time to do some sharing. So I am going to continue to press through. Our fourth element of strategy is leading, and it's volunteer boosting. We're bringing a specialist into our staff on helping you work with volunteers, micro volunteering, working in groups, that sort of thing. That will be rolling out later this year. And before it does, let me tell those of you who have not volunteered in an ICF chapter that there's some value that comes from that on a couple of levels. It builds leadership. It absolutely builds leadership. We had one ICF volunteer who said it was like getting a Master of Business Administration in a very short amount of time, because you get to manage budgets, you get to manage work efforts, and you get to manage groups working in work efforts. And it's matrixed, it's power through influence more than power through position, which is how leadership is designed in the 21st century. So if you go into ICF chapter leadership, not saying, oh, it's my turn, but rather it's an opportunity to make a difference. It's also the opportunity to hone my leadership skills. That's what it offers. So under influence, it offers you networking and friendships that will be with you your entire career. From a lead perspective, it gives you the opportunity to determine how you can be a better leader and a better coach through your leadership. And it happens with the ICF. So let me pause. and see if you all have any questions. I have just blasted my way through 3 years of organizational change, pretty significant stuff. I'm curious if you've got any questions.
Yes, Sarah. Thank you for all that so far. So, guys, if you have any questions, please put them in chat, and we will field that to Sarah. Sarah, we do have some coming in the meantime. So, the first question is, which is the ISO number that ICF is aligned with? And this question is from Tony Latimer.
What's the ISO number? I apologize, I don't know. You'd have to talk with the ICF credentialing person. Tell you what, let me take a note on that, and I'll see if we can get that information. We need to talk to the vice president of credentialing and standards to find out where they're targeting. And that's a young lady named Carrie Abner.
Okay, thank you for taking
By the way,
that.
Benita, oh goodness, she's from Oman, is chair of that family organization board. So closer to your time zone than mine. And I say that because I'm really proud of the global nature of our new boards. They represent coaches all over the world. Benita Stafford Smith.
Okay. All right. Can we have another question from Tony, Sarah. So he says, given that many coaches, even Sarah, as you just said it, get involved in the development of the use of coaching within organizations, for example, training managers and internal coaches in the use of coaching skills, what is the connection or crossover between the professional and in-organization parts of ICF, or are we excluded from participation?
Oh, no, I think I understand the question. In the survey work that we did with the Human Capital Institute that was published in 2018, they give numbers on the growth of coaching in organizations, and it is growing so fast. They are expecting a 35 to 50% growth in the number of external coaches that they have to hire. So yes, there'll be more internal coaches, but as organizations find out the value of coaching, they won't have enough employees to provide the kind of broad coaching coverage that we've talked to a couple of consulting firms who have employed 500 employees worldwide. There is no way that they can train enough coaches internally, and so their strategy is internal coaches and external coaches. Our job as coaches is to understand those numbers, understand the impact, and to look for the clients who understand coaching in organizations being a powerful impact, positive impact in terms of their success. Now, Tony, did I answer your question or did I just get excited?
Actually, Tony was asking more around how we can participate in both those parts of ICF.
And I'm sorry, say that one more time, Lynn.
So how is it that we can participate in the both parts of ICF? So Tony, maybe you can unmute yourself. You want to ask your question? Yeah, he's coming on.
Okay, good.
Yeah, hi, good morning, Sarah.
Hey, Tony.
Let me clarify, it's too early, not enough coffee. So you, me, and a lot of other people get involved in working with organizations doing that training of those managers, internal coaches. My question really is, now that we've got two parts of ICF, we've got the one you're heading for us as the professional coaches, and then you've got the separate part which is representing the coaching in organizations. So really, surely people like us are interested in being part of the conversations with the coaching in organizations part of ICF as well. So how do we do that?
Good question. We're still early on in the development of that group. Keep watching the space, you'll see it. know that as we are and by the way, they are working really hard to get out into the marketplace. One of the first things they're going to be doing is approaching organizations to become organizational members of the ICF coaching and organizations. As that gets started, they're not going to announce that before we know it. So just know that we are committed to absolute collaboration. So you'll know it as soon as we do. We'll make sure that that information gets out to our members. Not part of your question, but part of what I want to answer. Coaching in organizations is to bring organizations together that use coaching for collaboration. It is not going to replace ICF professional coaches. Professional coaches within organizations will join our organization as professional coaches. Larger organizations, probably often at the HR level, will join ICF coaching and organizations as they will be sharing best practices and begin to develop this notion of managers and leaders using coaching skills. Now, I can do another 10 minutes on this because the Human Capital Institute research that we partnered with in 2018 came out and said that high performance organizations are more likely to be coaching cultures, and coaching cultures there are 6 criteria for coaching cultures, and they all have to do with managers and leaders being taught real coaching skills like you're teaching, coaching competencies, internal coaches that have been taught coaching skills, external coaches, and you'll pick up the theme. They are all ICF competencies and ICF credentialing. So we're really pushing forward this notion of our version of coaching is what brings that success. So I offer you that study results because everyone has access to a coach. Coaching is a budget line item. Managers and leaders use credentialed skills. They have internal coaches, they have external coaches, and executives are committed to coaching. So those are the 6 elements.
Okay, and on that note of coach training in organizations, we have a question from Jim. And he says there are hundreds of coach training organizations offering different learning curriculum. Some are great, some are good, and some are questionable. What is ICF doing to improve the standards and consistency of coach training organizations?
Every accredited training organization, ACSTH, I always have to think of all the letters, right? ACSTH or ACTP, or organizations that want continuing credits become automatically part of the coach training organization. That's a new family organization. Part of their mission in life is to measure quality and hold up the value of the ICF brand. So where that has not happened in the past, Jim, we now have an organization dedicated to that so that we help training organizations become more effective, and we eliminate those that are not.
Okay. We have a question from Han Sam Lai. Standards for managers and coaches using coaching skills. Is that already published or is it still in development? And if it is, when is this due to be released?
It's not that I'm aware of. When I talk about managers and leaders using coaching skills, that is the trend that's been building over the last 15 years to teach from the book by Sir John Whitworth, Coaching for Performance. It's been evolving all over the world. The one thing that the ICF holds as an important part of that is that we are teaching managers and leaders competencies, the competencies that we practice. Now, we don't ask them to get 500 hours, pass 2 exams, and become PCC coaches, but we do ask them to learn the coaching competencies that we know.
Okay.
And so let me answer the question you didn't ask. One of the things that we're doing now in the organizational space, and it's a collaboration between the new coaching and organizations and ICF credentialing and standards, is that we are currently doing a study on team coaching competencies. You may have gotten a survey, a question about that. If you did, it was a really long survey. I took it. It actually took me a couple of hours, but they are beginning to gather common elements of team coaching so we can publish a set of team coaching competencies. There are other organizations in the world that say that they are developing team coaching competencies. We are the only ones doing it on actual coaches' behaviors and the research that it takes to create a validated set of competencies.
Wow, fantastic. Let's shift gears into supervision. Amin is asking, what about supervision? Where is the place for supervision in ICF's future?
There is a place for supervision, very much like mentoring. Now, the ICF doesn't teach either mentoring or supervision, but you'll notice when you go through credentialing that as a supervisor, you can count supervisory hours toward recertification. You can also count your supervising hours. So if I have a supervisor that I work with on a regular basis, I can count some of those hours toward my credentialing. So just like mentoring, we don't teach it, but we recognize it. Now, we may be more powerful about that in the future. Part of the thing we can do as a new organization is to begin to take on questions like that. Because I know my friend Jean-Francois is on this call, and he'll be talking to you all later in your ICW activities. He is a strong proponent of expanding our impact around supervision. I don't disagree. We simply haven't had time to do it. Now that our board has handed off some of the other work around credentialing, coaching in organizations, and coach training, we all will have more time to focus on both mentoring and supervision.
Okay, next question is from Anna Leong. She's curious about how these 6 organizations would come together.
You know, we're working on that. That is a great question. And what we're beginning to do is to have conversations every month among the chair of all these organizations, the vice presidents. There's a vice president for each of the organizations. They meet weekly. And what we're doing is getting really good at collaboration, asking, offering help, and determining to get the right work in the right place. It's like team coaching credentials. Where does that live? That's a collaboration between coaching in organizations and credentials and standards. So, and the third place that we come together is that each of our boards has a representative to what we call the global enterprise. There is an overarching organization for which we are all members, and they hold the strategy for the largest part of the organization, and we all define our strategies within that. Just as you as a chapter take our global professional coaches strategy and you determine what serves ICF Singapore the best. So it is about partnership and collaboration, and we are all committed to that. And that's why I gave you the stories. At the beginning of the pandemic, we turned to the brand new organizations that hadn't even gotten their feet on the ground and said, how can you help members? And both coach training and credentialing came back with significantly important changes that will impact our ability to either credential or re-credential in the next 18 months because everything's changed.
All right. Next question is from Herman. How will the new training organization relate to ACTO, which stands for Association of Coach Training Organizations?
Absolutely. Herman, how are you? It's good to see you. I don't actually see you, but I'm delighted you're here. ACTO is a partner of ours, and we have been talking to them for 2 years. They actually, all ACTO schools that are ICF credentialed are now automatically part of the coach training community. So we look to partner with ACTO in the future. ACTO does a great job of bringing training organizations together and doing great programs. They bring more coach training organizations together than are aligned with us. That means that when we put the two together, we get stronger. So we are absolutely good friends with ACTO, and our new coach training vice president, a guy named Luke. Luke will be attending the ACTO conference. He would have been there in person, but he will attend virtually in June, I think. Yeah. So absolutely in partnership. We haven't figured it all out. We did not. By the way, my board of 9 people last year didn't try to define everything because many of us don't have coach training organizations. So we set areas of responsibility and then created new founding boards so that they could go in and do the in-depth definition of who they will become. And I love the fact that the people who are on the board of coach training have training organizations from all over the world. Coaching in organizations are both HR executives and HR executives who are coaches who are designing what that can be. So really exciting. We may not see a lot of detail for another 12 to 18 months, but it's coming.
All right, thank you. We have a question from Lillian. She's asking, with a shift to train internal coaches and attain ICF competencies, what impact will this have on external coach consultants or coaches?
Boy, the first thing you do is find out if they're interested and go in and be their trainers. Because, every element of what our organizations are doing opens the door for us, whether it's coaching executives, supporting the training, providing the training. What's important is that you be on the leading edge of it and you start the conversations, and don't wait until they call you. Find the executive that wants to sponsor coaching in an organization and get the information in front of them. Give them the compelling argument to start it. If you have a coach training organization, partner with them and get in there. It's a place of abundance, and it's a place of business acumen on the part of those of us who are coaches.
That's a good point there, Sara. Okay, we have a question from Sui Heng. She's asking, can you update us on the team coaching competencies that I understand ICF is currently or planning to develop?
I can't. I know it's underway. That we have ICF senior staff members working with the consulting firm that worked on the individual coaching competencies, and they're somewhere in the first year. Yeah, I had to do a little mental calculation. They should be finishing up about 10 months of work. We're hoping to get some kind of answer, at least preliminary information, by the end of this year. It takes a while to gather that kind of information, but we initiated it. We actually approved it last June, so June of 2019. In 2020, our board, professional coaches, handed the project over to credentialing and standards. But it's a great question.
Sara, do you think we have time for one more question?
Yes. Yeah, let's do one more and then we'll do some breakout.
All right. Charles is asking, Or he's stating first, many in the world are still confused between mentoring, or they're still confusing mentoring as coaching. I love how the experience coaching videos highlight what is coaching and how it impacts lives. Going forward, will there be any efforts to help the public understand coaching better?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And what you're seeing is that we're building on that. The experience coaching, the HCI, ICF work, the PWC work, it's all to clarify what coaching is. Now, the thing that we've learned, because we're really relatively small in terms of the world, that we have over 35,000 coaches worldwide, but there are about 7 billion people in the world. So we have to sort of play the numbers. What we're doing is working on clarifying the meaning of coaching at organizational and governmental levels. When we do that, then it trickles down to smaller organizations and smaller municipalities. And the reason why I love the question is that this is where it becomes partly our responsibility too. We as coaches, the way we sell ourselves, inform our clients as to the difference between those who call themselves coaches and ICF credential coaches. That's why I mentioned when you sell yourself, say, I'm an ICF credential coach. This is the difference, that it's ethics, it's competencies, I've passed exams. I've not only gone through coach training, but I've been tested. So sell that as a value. Learn about the ethics, sell that as a value. That's an organizational value. That gives them confidence in buying because the ICF stands behind us. That's why we signed the fact that we've read ethics and we understand them. So as we sell coaching, as we use this, by the way, you may have noticed that I love the ACI ICF results, because those study results say, ICF coaches, if you don't just call yourself a coach, go with the real thing. If we get smart about that and we sell it, then we become 35,000 voices in the system that talks about the strength of ICF coaching, and we tell people that there's a difference. Now, I've started using a hashtag, and nobody at the headquarters has used it because they think I'm a little on the edge, but it's hashtag ICF Real Coaches. I mean, let's be just real about this. We're the real coaches. Be proud. Know what it means. Sell it for that. And when you do a hashtag, say ICF, ICF coaches, ICF coaching experience, always put ICF in there, because that's the identifier. I have to tell you a quick story. Went to ICF Houston, south of Texas. That's where NASA, the National Space Administration for the United States, is. Big federal institution. They've been using coaches for years. In the last 3 years, they've started hiring only ICF credential coaches. And in the last 2 years, you have to be a PCC or above. I was approached by a woman in that chapter who's been a coach for years and never gotten her credential. And she said, I'm really nervous because when my contract expires, I'm not going to be able to coach for them. I told her she should work and get her credential. That's what it's about. That's why we're working on it. We get one part of our federal government saying that, and other parts will follow suit. European Union, their definition of coaching is our definition of coaching, is because coaches in France worked on it. So we have a lot of power. And so we need to get used to leveraging it. And I will tell you, a friend of mine, Janet Harvey, used to be chair of the ICF board. And she said, if we can just get our coaches to be contributors and not just consumers of the ICF, and the only contribution you have to make is to sell the ICF coaching brand. Embrace it. Boy, and the digital badging makes that easier, doesn't it?
Totally agree with you on that, Sarah. And whatever that you just described is also what's happening in Singapore here, in terms of organizations and government agencies looking for ICF coaches, and then some are zooming in specifically at PCC and above. So it's wonderful
by the
to hear
way,
that trend.
Tony, thanks for typing that differentiation between mentor coaching and supervising. Absolutely. I really appreciate your getting that clear.
So do you think we're ready to go into breakout, Sarah?
Oh, let's do that. Hang on. Let me show you. Hang on. Let me get my... Okay, so here's the question. Who do we want to become? So this conversation, you're going to have about, we're going to give you 15 minutes in groups, and they're going to be random groups. That the question is, where do you want to be when the pandemic's over, or next week? How do you want to define yourself? And, you know, what kind of coach do you want to be? Here are your ICF assets. There's research about the spread of coaching. There's research about the value of coaching in an organization. There's digital badging that sets you apart. There is the strength of your community and support, ICF chapter and region and global. There's your coaching skill of seeing possibilities, and you have time right now to incorporate some changes. So what we're going to ask you to do, we're going to put you in groups. And Adrian, could you make it for 12 minutes?
Sure.
So you're not going to have much time. Just come up with an idea or two that would work for you in how can you become who you want to be coming out of this challenging time. Okay, hit it. Go into groups. See you in about 12 minutes.
All right, off we go.
We will have about, you will have about 8 to 10 peers in each group. And please accept the breakout room invitation that you will see pop up.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, off we go to the breakout rooms. See you back in a while.
Thanks, Adrian.
Sure.
Welcome back to the main session, everybody.
Wow, look at him rolling in. Excellent.
Hope you had a good session, Sarah.
We had a great time, didn't we?
Yes.
That one of the things that anybody who went to the Global Leader Forum knows that I believe that every breakout room was the very best one. So wherever you were, you had the best conversation possible.
Definitely.
Adrian, help me. Let's see if we can get someone to raise their hand. Let's get just a real quick idea or two that from one or two of the rooms. Just got a couple of minutes.
Sure. They're all coming back right now. We'll just give them a couple of seconds.
So if you want to know how to raise your hand, you go down to the participants option. All right. And then the box will open up and then you'll be able to see an option to.
Hey, Michael, will you share?
Yes. Oh, sure. Thanks, Sarah, for the invitation. Thanks. So I was sharing with the group that what I'm doing now during the COVID period is to reach out to SME bosses, small and medium-sized enterprises bosses, to provide pro bono coaching to support them through these challenging times. And I think that the things that I can touch on with them will be things on resilience and on how to lead their teams virtually. So these are a couple of ideas that I'm bouncing with them. And on the personal side, I am increasing my meditation frequency to develop more compassion and empathy for self and also for the people I work with.
Hey, thanks, Michael. And I asked him to share because you noticed that I mentioned that we're going to be able to count more pro bono hours in our re-credentialing. Michael's taking that opportunity and leveraging it into getting more business. So well done, my friend. Somebody else want to unmute and share a good idea that you had or you heard?
We have Debbie Hogan who raised her hand. Debbie, do you want to unmute?
Oh, I didn't raise my hand, but
I did. I raised my hand.
Dave raised his hand. Thank you.
Yeah, wonderful group. It was truly the best. And we had some coaches in training, some coaches who just completing training. And so they're seizing this opportunity to complete and continue that training. And others, more seasoned coaches said, it's now that we're doing things that we will continue to be doing, providing emotional support, especially for those in deep need and those in social service. And then others of us mentioned the importance to use this time to continue and improve our online training. Some of us are training providers. So some useful and encouraging ideas from this group. Thank you.
Excellent. How about one more? Unmute yourself if you got something to share.
Sam, you would like to share, Sam?
yes, and really great to see everybody. And one of the things that our group discussed was that with this new normal, that the self-care part of ourselves need to be strengthened. I think we tend to help others and we want to reach out. And I've been, texting my clients, texting my friends, but then sometimes I forget about myself. And the group that we were discussing in, we were all in alignment that we need to make sure that even in between, and just like Michael said, to strengthen our own resilience, our own ability to be able to support the people that we care about, as well as our coaches. So this was one of the biggest point that we talked about.
Nice. Excellent. I want to thank you all. Thank you for having me with you today. What an exciting time. What an honor it is to be a part of the kickoff of your ICW week. I wish you all the best. I wish you the holding that what we're in right now is a marathon, not a sprint. We're experiencing tremendous change, and it's not going to unchange probably ever. And the thing I would leave you with is that we at Global, that seems so funny because I'm a coach, I'm a member of a chapter. We're all the same, by the way. All of your board members are coaches from all over the world. And we look to you for partnership. We look to you to, through your chapter leaders, let us know what you need. Be patient, contribute, become one of the voices of the ICF that changes your community. Let's embrace those who call themselves coaches and aren't ICF coaches. They can come join us anytime, and they're welcome. And there is a difference, and you embody that difference every day. Thank you for who you are. Thank you for the gifts that you have. And thank you for the things that you give this profession that we love, called coaching. Be well. Be safe. Talk to you soon. Thanks.
Thank you, Sara. Thank you for that wonderful session. And I think, if anything, I feel even more proud of being with ICF because of all the wonderful work that you guys are doing. So thanks for spending the morning with us and for kicking off our ICW Singapore 2020. Now, guys, we would like to take a group picture with Sara. So if you'd like to be in it, you can turn your camera on. And if your camera is on, you can form I, C, or W with your fingers. So you can do I or C or W. All right, let's do that. Ready, everybody? Adrian will be our cameraman. And let's go. Oh, hold it for 3 seconds. 1, 2, 3. You got it, Adrian?
Can you hold on a little longer, please?
Oh, one more time.
We've got 4 screens to shoot. All right, can I get you? Yes, coming one more and a couple more. One more time. Thank you, everybody.
Okay.
Beautiful.
All right. Thank you.
Now
okay.
you're going to go into breakout sessions, right?
We need to cover some stuff before that. Yes, we will very soon. So just for the benefit of those who joined late, I want to quickly, give me a minute, run through what is it that you can expect as a wonderful goodie from Emergenetics, who is our platinum sponsor. So they are supporting all coaches by graciously giving out to all of you a gift package worth $350 that consists of an Emergenetics profile and access to online resources and a special webinar. So you will receive an email to get this goodie bag next week. So please look out for it. Now we're going to go into, I'll give you instructions for CCEU and with the breakouts after this. Before that, I want to do a quick thank you again to all our sponsors. So we have Gallup, who has an exciting workshop right after Sara's keynote session at 11:30 a.m. Registration is still open and we will pass you the link in a little bit. As well as our other sponsors, we have the coaching app. So go to www.thecoachingapp.com to register yourself for priority access. The Coach Partnership, who has brought the new suite of coach training programs to Asia since 2010. We also have Starting Point, the authorized provider of everything DISC certification and solutions, 5 behaviors of a cohesive team and building trust solutions. And last but not least, the ICF approved coach training providers, Academy of Solution Focused Training, Collective Change Institute, Go Master Coach, and Martin Consulting and Coaching Solutions. So your participation doesn't just end here. On this slide, you will see a QR code. And if you scan that right now, it would bring you to the webinar feedback survey, which is also the CCEU application form. And you need to provide us your name that you want on the certificate and the email that you received the certificate in. Okay. The other thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to send all of you right now a document with this link. So if you can't enable your QR code, don't worry, we'll send you the URL in the document coming through the chat in a while. If you'd like to join us for the next session, the Gallup Strength Finder Workshop, you would also find this registration link in the chat, and we will also send it to you in the document so that you can access that. Okay. And lastly, we want the community to benefit from your insights. from this and every webinar. So please share your thoughts on social media and tag #ICWSG 2020. It's only open to ICF Singapore members. Oh, sorry, it's open to everybody, but the ICF Singapore member with the most posts on each platform, so you have Facebook, LinkedIn, and Twitter, will win a $30 NTUC voucher. So if you're ready to get into action learning mode, and if you're keen to network and exchange learning insights from this webinar with other coaches, you can stay on for 15 minutes. It's different from the breakout room you just did. Here is, what you got overall, what you're going to walk away with. You'll be in a breakout room with 3 or 4 other coaches. If you need to jump off the session now, thank you for joining us. And we've reached the end of the official end of the webinar. So thank you once again for participating in ICW Singapore 2020. If you'd like to join the breakout action learning rooms, please hold on for a while. Okay, meanwhile, I'm sending the file with the 2 links, so the ECCEU link and the Gallup workshop link. I'm sending that through in chat right now. You would be able to see the document pop up in the chat box, so you can open that up and access the links. Okay, Adrian, let's move on into action learning.
Okay.
Thank you, everybody.
For those of us who are on the line, I will be sending you into breakout rooms right now. Here you go.